Apply the fundamental theorem of algebra to determine the number of roots the function is shown. Okay? So is there a 1 there if there's not an if it's just x? So that means we have one solution. Done. That's all it is. Yep. Simple as that. Says apply the fundamental theorem of algebra to determine the possible number of roots for the function. Yep. What else did we see? What else? 11. You got it. Shh. One root. One possible root for number 9 because it was x. Just x. All right. So number 11 says apply the fundamental theorem of algebra to determine number of roots for the function. So 1, 2, 3. 3 possible roots. You're looking where it crosses the x-axis or touches it. Sweet. What else? Emmanuel, sit all the way down, please. 17. And then 7. You got it. 17. I have x squared plus 12x plus 35 equals 0. It says, in the following polynomial equations, use the zero product property to determine the roots for the equation. So, first thing I'm going to do, is it equal to 0? Yes, that's our first step. Second step, put a 1 out front, multiply those together. 1 times 35 is positive 35. In order to get a positive when multiplying two numbers, we need to have both the same, being positive, positive, or negative, negative. Being, I look at number 17, I don't see any negatives. I'm going to default both being negative. Then I have to realize 1 times 35 is 35. And then 5 times 7 is also 35. Which one of those, both being positive, add up to 12? 5 and 7. So I got a plus 5x and a plus 7x. Agree? All right. Guys. Bad kids. All right. So it's factoring just like normal. I'm going to plug this into our gap. So I have plus 5x and plus 7x. Okay, we good so far? Looks very familiar to what we've done in the past. I look at the first two numbers. I have an x in common, and x plus 5. Middle sign comes down. I can factor 7 out of both of those. If I factor 7 out of 7x, I'm left with x. Factor a 7 out of 35, I'm left with a 5. Are these the two? Are those both the same? I think so. So x plus 5 and x plus 7. So that's what last chapter was. But because this was equal to 0, I'm going to go x plus 5 equals 0 and x plus 7 equals 0. Subtract 5 and subtract 7. So those are my two answers. So it's done. The factoring is done just like normal. Once you have your sets of binomials, you set those equal to 0 in order to solve it. Which one did you say? 7. All right. Problem number 7 says f of x is equal to what? It is. Why is it 3? 3 is the highest exponent. Yeah. I think that's what you're trying to say. What else do we see? Do what?
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
Yeah, we watched the video. I thought I had a question on it, but
Okay. We good? Was there any other questions here? Good? Solid? Happy? Yes? Yeah.
oh no.
Just stretching?
Yeah, it was just
Okay. All right. My friends, will you go to page 67? Page 67.
which page? 67?
67.
All right.
So, you got to figure out which one it is.
Do not listen to that.
Costa, you got an earbud in. All right. Shh. So So in the case of the previous, the zero product property just means it's equal to 0. That's all this means. It's equal to 0. That's the nuts and bolts of it. Has to be equal to 0 in order for this process to work. So if it's equal to something else isn't necessarily 0. Agree? There's my first email.
Oh, what? Oh.
Golly. All right. So try these. Problem number 1. Is problem number 1 equal to 0? No. In order to make it equal to 0, I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I'm going to get this. Do you feel comfortable with what I just did? I mean, all it is just add 3 to both sides. That's it. Okay? So now, is everyone good with that first step? So now I'm going to make sure there's 1 here, multiply these together. 1 times 3 is positive 3. In order to get a positive number when multiplying 2 numbers together, it's either positive, positive, or negative, negative. What is this one going to be, do you think? It's either plus, plus, minus, minus. Which is it? It's negative, negative. Why is that? You're absolutely right. Yes. Why?
Negative 2 plus negative 1 is negative 4.
Yes. That's it. Negative 3. Good. I like it. All right. So the factors of 3 are 1 times 3. That's the only way I'm going to get a 3. And what was so eloquently stated was negative 1x plus negative 3x is equal to negative 4. Cool. So let's plug those in. X squared minus 1x minus 3x plus 3. I have an x in common here. I have this negative comes down. I could factor a negative 3 out, and I get x minus 1. Sorry. So I get x minus 1. I get x minus 1 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals 1, and x equals 3. Those are my answers. Okay, so we had to make sure they were equal to 0 before we could go through the process. Darken that. So those highlighted regions are my 2 answers. X equals 1, x equals 3. All right. So next problem. Is this equal to 0? No. I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides, so I'm going to get x squared minus 9x equals 0, because I just subtract 9x from both sides. Agree? Okay, this particular problem doesn't necessarily factor like the ones we've seen. This one has the greatest common factor. What can I factor out of both of those? X. So I get x and x minus 9. Okay? So then I'm going to say x equals 0. That's one answer. And x minus 9, which is x equals positive 9. There's my 2 answers. That's it. That's how you do it. Hey, I might not be the brightest bulb in the batch, but does problem number 1 and problem number 3 look identical? X squared minus 4x equals negative 3. Yeah, they're the same. So we don't have to worry about that one, because it's the same as number 1.
Wait, can I ask a question right quick?
Yes.
You're not the brightest what and who?
Not the brightest bulb in the batch.
Where did you grow up? Because I never heard that before in my life.
Arizona.
It's like it translates. That's like sharpest to another person.
Yeah. I'm as sharp as a marble and as bright as a keyhole. A marble's not sharp. A marble's round. Keyhole's always dark, so I'm as bright as a keyhole. All right. Man, you'll stick with me. You'll learn other funny, silly things. Hey, problem number 4. So We're good as number 4 is not amongst the group. Bless you. Is number 4 equal to 0?
Yeah. Oh, wait, no.
No. How would I move that negative 4 over? Add 4. So I get 2x squared minus 9x plus 4 equals 0. Agree? Seem okay? All right. So now I'm going to multiply 4 times 2, and I'm going to get a positive 8. In order to get a positive number, it's either a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. Which is it?
Negative.
Yes. Why is it both negative?
What's it called? Bro.
Because the 9 is negative. Okay. All right, so in order to get 8, I go 1 times 8, and I also go 2 times 4. Which of those, both being negative, would add up to negative 9? Do you what? Yeah, negative 1x and minus 8x plus negative 8, or minus negative, both are the same. Okay, so I'm going to bring the 2x squared down, minus 1x, minus 8x plus 4. I have an x in common between those. That negative sign comes down. What number can I factor out of 8 and 4? 4. Good. So negative 4 gets factored out. Negative 4 factored out of negative 8 is positive 2x. Negative 4 factored out of negative 4 is going to be negative 1. I have 2x minus 1 are the same. So I'm going to say 2x minus 1 equals 0. And what's the other one? X minus 4 equals 0. Good. All right, so add 1 to both sides. Divide by 2. Add 4 to both sides. Friends, those are our only 2 solutions. Whoo, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And then we get to number 5. Number 5. Hey, is number 5 equal to 0? Sure is. Oh, we can start factoring it. All right, hang on. Here we go. Here we go. What time we at here? Good. Yeah, buddy. All right. All right, so this is one of those that I'm actually going to have this. Are you okay with that? I could put a 0x in to be a placeholder?
Yeah, I was just like, what's that?
0x.
Okay.
So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. In order to get a negative number, when multiplying 2 numbers together, what do you know about the 2 numbers? Good. One's positive, one's negative. Very good. All right, so I know that 1 times 4 is 4, and I know that 2 times 2 is also 4. Which of those, when added together, one being positive, one being negative, would add up to 0? 2 and 2. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to have positive 2x and negative 2x. If I add those together, I get 0x. So then I'm going to go x squared plus 2x minus 2x minus 4. I can factor an x out of those, so I'm left with x plus 2. Middle sign comes down. Factor out a negative 2. Change the signs. So I'm going to get x plus 2 equals 0. And what's the other one? X minus 2 equals 0. Very good. Okay, solve the first one, subtract 2. Solve the second one, add 2. Those are my 2 answers. Those are my solutions to it. Problem number 6. Is it equal to 0? Sure is. Okay, what do you think we should do? No. It's equal to 0, but is there a greatest common factor between these? If so, what's the greatest common factor? X. So I get x and x minus 3. That's equal to 0. So this x is just going to be x equals 0. There's one answer. And then x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals positive 3, because I add 3 to both sides. There's my two solutions. I'm going to skip over to number 8, and then I'll come back to number 7. Okay? Okay? All right. So problem number 8. Is it equal to 0? Okay. Let's see. How can I do this problem? So this could be written like this, I guess. Is that okay? So I'm just putting a placeholder of the 0x in place, right? So then I'm going to go 6 times 6 is positive 36. So both signs have to be positive or negative. Agree? Okay. I only see positive signs. Agree? All right. We're going to make this one work. So we want to figure out what two factors of 36, both being positive, will add up to 0. But they're both positive. I like your thinking, though. Okay, so I got 1 and 36. Will 1 and 36 both being positive add to 0? 2 and 18? 3 and 6? 4 and 9? 6 and 6. Remember, they both have to be positive. It is. This is a prime one. Okay, do you see how I kind of analytically went through it? And a lot of times your mind's going to goof up on you because you know that positive 6 and negative 6 add together gives us 0. You're right all day long. But the problem is positive 6 times negative 6 is negative 36, so that one won't factor. All right. Problem number 7. I'm going to kind of make some room for it. All right. Is problem number 7 equal to 0? No. Now, the key in doing this is you normally want to have your x squared term be positive. Is it positive right now? Yeah. So that means I'm going to move the 20x over by adding 20x to both sides. And I'm also going to subtract 32 from both sides. So that's going to give me 3x squared plus 20x minus 32 equals 0. Now is it equal to 0?
Yeah.
I feel blessed. Didn't mean to sneeze all over your foot. I'm just kidding. All right. So, let's see. How should I do this? Should I go negative 32 times 3 to get negative 96? Can I do that? In order to get a negative number when we multiply two numbers together, what do you know? Positive, negative. So I know that 1 times 96. I know that 2 times 48. And the reason I know these is because I've taught way too long and, you know, that stuff works. 3 and 32. I'm trying to get them to add up to 20. I got 4 and 24. Ooh, 4 and 24. If one's positive, one's negative, could they add up to 20? Which one has to be positive? So positive 24x and negative 4x are what we're going to plug in. All right. So let's bring 3x squared down. And whatever order, just make sure the signs come along. We get that. What do I have in common between these first two? X, anything else? 3x, beautiful. If I factor a 3x out of 3x squared, I'm left with x. Plus sign comes along. If I factor a 3x out of 24x, I have what left? 8. Giddy up. Hey, what do I have in common between these? I heard it, negative 4. If I factor negative 4 out of negative 4x, I'm left with x. If I factor negative 4 out of negative 32, I'm left with plus 8. Are the two parentheses the same? I take that as a yes. So I'm going to get x plus 8 equals 0. And 3x minus 4 equals 0. Excuse me. So x equals -8. Add 4. Divide by 3. There's my answers. Wow. Dude, hey, you guys want a lot of homework tonight?
No, don't want one at all.
Are you kidding me? Come on. All right, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a whole bunch. Page 69 and 70. And I want you to do 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16. So for those of you who figured out the pattern, the left column.
I was pretty much thinking we were going to do that.
So friends,